In this plane, there are trees as bony and twisted as a hag's fingers, pitch-black mold and moss, and a strangely murky sky. This is a place teeming with bizarre monsters, one would never see in reality, monsters that, if one gets cornered by, will not think twice about consuming. If he dies here, like he just did, he wakes up from the dream. It has already been 12 years since this nightmare started, since he began experiencing pain that feels like he is dying. He doesn't go outside his house. Instead, he catalogs everything he saw in the dream. He can endure the pain of dying. It has become a trusted friend at this point. What he cannot endure is the lack of sleep. If he falls asleep in reality, he's sent back to that nightmare world. If he dies in the nightmare world, he gets sent back to reality. There was no way he could ever get a proper night's sleep with this. To stop dying in that hellish nightmare, he has mastered multiple forms of styles, weaponry, martial arts, swordsmanship, and even military tactics. He did everything he could for 12 straight years, and thanks to that, he started to die a lot less often in the nightmares, his senses having grown incredibly. However, the fundamental problem remains: sleep. The doctor just recommended to try and find something he wants to do, then he might be able to get a good rest. Unfortunately, the only thing he wants to do is fall asleep. He wants to sleep soundly, just once, in this sad, damn life of his. Suddenly though, his nose begins to bleed. A lot. Too much to be considered a nosebleed. And his eyes go to the back of his head as he falls, unconscious. He feels strange. His body is light, and that terrible headache he's been living with all these years is gone. It feels like fresh, clean air is filling his chest and head. He feels like he actually slept well. It's been 12 years. Did he actually die? Then, this place is it? Sure enough, he is inside the nightmare world he's suffered for 12 years. Before he can even get his bearings, he has to hide, as a large lizard with multiple eyes is stalking for prey. He knows that, with the amount of blood loss he suffered, he might truly be dead. If that is the case, if he dies here, there is no reality he can return to. From this day forth, this is his new reality. He does not know what kind of place it is exactly, and what he needs to do to survive. Given his situation, he shouldn't fight. First, he will head to a bright place that monsters hate. However, a slow, sadistic smirk grows on his lips, and he draws his blade. For some reason, he does not want to run away but rather fight. Is it because he fell asleep deeply for the first time in ages, or because this body is younger than his real one? The lizard, noticing the bite-sized morsel next to it, decides to charge in. He is not too worried. His entire body is screaming at him to fight and to survive. He puts his sword up and cuts the lizard in half. His eyes two pointed pricks of fury. He wipes away the blood on his blade with a swipe, and then carves into the beast's flesh, finding something akin to a core deep inside. He grabs it, and slowly begins to consume it. Until he is done, he promises to himself, in this dark fantasy world, he will survive, no matter what it takes. First though, he will have to go to a brighter place. He continues living in this strange realm. He enjoys the restful sleep he has been having. It has been 1 month since he crossed to this place. He continues heading from the pitch-black darkness of this forest toward the light. And just because he feels like fighting now doesn't mean he goes hunting, because risking his life for fun is simply madness. He watches as a big creature eats a snake, Jin thinking that he can't help feeling the urge to fight. The only times he does hunt, however, is when he needs food, and when he gets especially hungry. After taking down a creature, he does what he always does, eat its core, as this is the essence inside the monster's bodies, something he can obtain power with. Eating this gives him a chance to gain the monster's power. Ever since he started eating this, adapting to this place has become easier and easier. One more fact he discovered is that this body seemed to belong to someone with the status of a third-class mercenary. He is also surprised that he can read the writing here. This mark, this wood thing, suggests that people are living somewhere in this world, and he can see the light through the trees. As he continues making his way though, he finds an actual bear trap. This is human-made, meaning that there must be people nearby. He rushes out of the forest and finds a clearing through the forest, actually finding a homestead with a house and all. Surprised, he walks inside. Instead, he finds a book on a nearby table titled The Demonic Realm Chronicles. He opens it and is shocked by the contents. This is the history of this place, and the terms used are recorded in such a meticulous way that, for him to survive in this world, this book is absolutely necessary. Suddenly though, the owner of the home makes his way inside and points his crossbow at the man, asking who he is. He should answer him cleanly, or he will put a hole through his head without preamble. The man is glad to see someone else. However, does he mistake him for just a robber? He apologizes, telling him not to misunderstand. There was just a house in such a remote area, so he came out of curiosity. The old man tells him to get lost, as he has no quarrel with him. The man understands, however. By any chance could he possibly lend this book to him? He wants to read it. If he needs to pay a price, then he will. The old man asks what he will do if he refuses, and the man thinks that he absolutely needs this book to survive. If that is the case, then he might actually just become a robber. As he slowly pulls out his blade, he doesn't know how strong this old man is, but he doesn't feel like he would lose. The old man sighs and agrees. A robber wouldn't talk about wanting to read a book. It's nice to meet him. He's Hector. The man is glad to see that he has lowered his guard and introduces himself as Kim Woo-jin. Hector thinks that's a rather peculiar name, so Kim tells him to just call him Jin if that's the case. His name certainly must be hard to pronounce, since they're not Korean and all, but that book is precious to him, so he cannot just lend it out. If he wants to read it, he should stay here for a while and read it. In return, he would like some help with simple chores. Jin agrees, and so he ended up staying at Hector's house. Hector was gruff, but he didn't seem like a bad person at all. The first night, he handed him warm soup for the first time in a long time. He thanked the gods for this warm meal. Hector must be one of their angels. Hector goes out hunting when the sun rises, sometimes living for longer than expected. He said it was to take revenge on the monsters that killed his comrades. He looks like quite a strong man, so seeing him nervous means he must be against a considerably powerful monster. When Jin is alone, he reads the chronicles. All the stories begin with the Northern Empire. The king of the Northern Empire, blinded by greed, laid his hands on the otherworldly gate, which was said to hold the truth of all creation and immense power. It was just a Pandora's box, and on that day, the calamity began. Powerful monsters emerged from the otherworldly gate and turned the North into a demonic realm in just 9 years. In response, humanity united many factions to form an Order Alliance. The Order Alliance built a barrier to stop the spread of the demonic realm. Jin thinks about it. As suspected, there's a lot of useful information in this book. However, they say the deeper one goes into the demonic realm, the stronger the monsters are. Come to think of it, monsters got weaker as he headed towards the light, right? As he thinks, Hector charges back. Just how deep inside the demonic realm has he been wandering all this time, and how strong is he in this place? Hector is being chased by a bunch of wolves and one werewolf, it seems like. They all charge at him, wanting to end his life, and Hector, seeing that he is getting out, runs and stops and shoots 3 true bolts at them. The werewolf simply smashes through them with ease, surprising the old man. But as he continues running away, he sees Jin walking outside, wielding his blade. Hector tells him to run, as it's dangerous here, but Jin actually charges in, his eyes glowing a fiery red. He jumps up and arrives over the werewolf, who tries to grab at him, but Jin is too fast and cuts his entire arm clean in half before moving onto his body, swinging in an extremely wide arc. Seeing their master fall, the other wolves simply stare and growl at him. Hector is shocked. He took down a werewolf in a single slash. Jin is interested in only one thing, though. Is a monster like this considered strong? Hector asks if he is really asking if a werewolf is strong. He admits that it is. Incredibly so. Jin understands. Then he will hear the rest of the details after he deals with the entire pack. There are a lot of wolves about, but they don't seem that strong. There are about 40, by his calculation. Just enough to screw him over if he is careless. Instead of fighting all of them, he will slice the throat of the second one that looks to be second in command, considering the werewolf is dead and has shattered their morale. He looks at the red wolf, seeing its exceptionally large build and twin tails. He must be the second in command. He unleashes his aura, thinking that this is the one he must kill first. But the red wolf, seeing what he is fighting, kinda looks at the ground, then just simply dashes away as fast as possible, telling the others to do the exact same. The wolves, shocked by the cowardice of their second in command, decide to run away too, thinking that this clearly isn't worth it. Hector is shocked they actually ran away, those wolves who are known for their bravery and pride, noting that he sure knows how to assess a situation with that. They go and make the werewolf into a pelt. Hector guesses that at least 40 gold coins is the bounty on the head of the werewolf he killed. Jin asks if that's a lot of money, and Hector confirms as such. Enough to live comfortably without working for at least 7 years. Jin is shocked. Such a high bounty for such a weakling, but more importantly, if a trash monster like a werewolf has such a high bounty, then what about the stuff he defeated deeper down in the forest? Whenever he is in short of cash, he'll just need to find and kill similar ones, and he will keep raking in a huge amount of money. Perhaps life here might be easier than the last 12 years he spent not sleeping. Hector grabs a bunch of things and drops them in a group. He should take all of this and go to the Pioneer Village, as that place is the place marked on the map, and find a man named Jacob. He will buy that hide for a fair price. Jin asks if it's okay for him to give him something this valuable, but Hector notes that he killed the werewolf, so he is simply paying the price. Did he not tell him? He extends a shaky hand forward and thanks him for getting his revenge. He hopes they will meet again soon when the opportunity arises. Jin shakes his hand adamantly and thanks him for everything, as he really helped him understand a lot of stuff. With that, he leaves and begins making his way out of the dark forest. But the second-in-command wolf is watching, clearly mad that he was made to run away. Eventually, Jin arrives at the pioneer village, confirming his identity with a guard and walking inside. He sees that all of the people are simply staring at him. It's probably because he's a stranger they've never seen before. They are on high alert, but it's understandable in a world like this with monsters and beasts. The most dangerous thing can be people. He goes to the tavern in the village, ignoring everyone and sitting down with the bartender, asking if he wants a drink. Jin passes on that, and more importantly, asks if he knows where he can find a man named Jacob. Suddenly, the man on the other stool turns to him and notes that he is Jacob. What does he want from him? He explains that he was sent by Hector. He said if he met him, he could sell a werewolf hide. Jacob immediately drops his knife as he gets up and is shocked. Hector actually killed a damn werewolf. Jin is surprised. He's assuming Hector did it. But well, there's no need to correct him after all. Jacob checks it out and sees that it's an honest-to-God werewolf hide, making everyone whisper about it. Did that old man Hector finally do it? Jacob smiles, though. As expected, he knew that bastard could pull it off. Immediately, Jin gets circled by a bunch of ruffians, and he asks what they are all doing. Jacob wonders if he can't tell by looking. He should get lost while he is asking nicely, and he might just spare his life. Jin sighs. Scammer faces don't lie after all. Hector sent him here because he trusts him. Has he always done business with this intent? Jacob tells him to watch his damn mouth. He simply made an investment. Hector was located extremely far away, and so supplying him actually caused a loss more than a win. He needs this hide to make up for all the losses he's accumulated, right? Jin stares at him, wondering if he should kill him. He really shouldn't, though. He is pissed off, but he can't kill a person over a mere hide. This bastard should be glad that he is a nice guy. Before he can finish that thought, Jacob throws the beer he ordered at his face and tells him to try not to be clever and get lost while he's still nice. Jin says nothing, gets up and begins walking away, the others making way for him. Jacob thinks that he made a smart choice, but actually Jin went to block the doorway. He tells Jacob that if he intended to scam someone from the very beginning, he should have gone for the neck and not the back. Jacob laughs. He takes back what he said about him being smart. He really doesn't seem to value his life, does he? A bunch of Jacob's thugs charge in with their blades, but Jin is done holding back. Damn guys like them, he won't feel bad about killing them. He deflects the strike of the first thug, making his hands quiver, and then moves in, cutting him up twice. Another larger brute tries to unleash his mighty axe on Jin, but he simply gets out of the way and throws a table at the brute before slashing through it, proving that he is more than just a mercenary. Jacob is scared shitless now. Where did this monster pop out from? A fighter this strong in this area? There's no way he wouldn't know him. Whatever. At this rate, they will all just die for nothing. Jin takes care of a bastard trying to be an assassin and clashes shoulder to shoulder with a muscular brute before striking him in the chest and slashing him down to size. Seeing that he has no remorse over taking lives and the calm sense he has about him, Jacob orders everyone to run, and they all jump through the window of the inn, only to be met by the Red Wolf. What the hell is this monster doing in a village? Jin gets out too and sees the Red Wolf, wondering what it's doing here. Does it perhaps want to die too? The Red Wolf, seeing that he doesn't get it, whimpers and begins showing its belly, rolling around on the ground in a state of absolute submission. This confuses everyone, and Jin is rather irked by this unsightly behavior. However, if he understood it, he should be able to do this. He points at one of the men and tells the Red Wolf to bite immediately. He gets up and charges in at the man, sinking his teeth into the man's jugular and pulling everything out. Jin is impressed. This might actually be rather nice. The Red Wolf takes care of the other two men as well, leaving only Jacob. He wonders what he should do now. He needs to get out of this situation first. Since this bastard is a moron, he'll probably let it go if he apologized a few times. He gets on his knees and begs to be spared, as he will do anything he tells him. Naturally, he is already thinking of revenge. He will have this bastard's head sooner or later. In response, Jin puts the blade near his head, cutting through his scalp, and wonders if this bastard really is taking him for a pushover. In the past, when he said his salary hadn't come in, the factory manager told him to let it slide just this once. Back then, because he was soft-hearted, he had no choice but to accept. However, he should not have done that. Once he nailed down the salary that was a week late, it got delayed by a month, then two. At some point, when he was asking again, the factory manager began screaming at him, noting that they should stick together, and that he was selfish. It felt really shitty living month to month, but he did learn a lesson back then though. Jacob, seeing that his back is turned to him, grins widely and pulls out a hidden knife, charging rather slowly at Jin. Thus, he just turns around and grabs his hand. Guys like him who scam do not know the meaning of remorse, so he shouldn't either. Jacob knows he can't do anything, and with a swipe of his sword, Jin takes him out, making his head roll in the air. This time, he will never be taken as a pushover again. Now that he is done with this, he should be concerned about this matter. What should he do with him? The Red Wolf hands him a pouch of coins he found on the bodies, and seeing that it's useful, he asks if he wants to tag along. The Red Wolf just pushes him gently with his head, seeking comfort, and Jin just pets him. He's a pretty clever thing, huh? Well, they will get along from now on then. Jin finds a spot to rest, an inn that can take a Red Wolf anyway, and is pleased that he got another perfect deep sleep. This is a morning so refreshing that he could feel he could fly. He begins stretching with a Red Wolf, and then goes outside to wash his garments and such. He thinks that he killed a person for the very first time, and it wasn't just one or two, but a lot of them. However, why doesn't he feel guilty at all? Is it because they were scum? No. The emotion he felt back then was the same as when he was hunting monsters. It was that same thrill. There is definitely something inside of him that is starting to change, slowly but surely. Is he cursed or something? Well, he survived, so that's good, right? One thing is certain. His life here will be vastly different from his original life. He won't suffer absurdity, and live in abundance, and simply enjoy the present, whatever it brings. He walks away from the Pioneer City village to the 5th Pioneer City. First, he needs to sell the pelt. He tells the Red Wolf to stay nearby and keep out of sight while he is inside. According to the chronicles, to receive a monster's bounty, he has to visit the Order Alliance. It's said there's a branch of the Order Alliance here in the Pioneer City. He goes to the Order Alliance branch building and asks if this is where he can sell bounties. The clerk there confirms that this is where he can sell bounties. Jin puts the heavy pelt on the reception desk, noting that he is here to collect. The receptionist thinks that this is just some dog skin. This isn't the place where he can pull off pranks he knows. However, as he begins to unfurl it, he sees that it's an honest-to-God werewolf pelt. Did he catch this by himself? Jin confirms that he did so earlier. Naturally, he gets immediately invited inside and placed at a comfortable table. A few short moments later, another man arrives, apologizing for the wait. Given the amount involved, they had to make sure the pelt was real, so it took a little time. Since the pelt is genuine, this is the reward promised. He should check it to make sure it's right. Jin takes it. This is enough money to live lazily for at least 7 years. It didn't feel real until he saw it in person. He feels a trembling, which is different from the hunt. Money is definitely a good thing, no matter which plane of existence he's in. As he enjoys his spoils, the man asks if he wouldn't be interested in taking in another request. It happens that he has a favor to ask. Jin is pleased to hear this request. The man confirms that a monster recently appeared in a nearby quarry and is causing quite the disturbance. The quarry is dangerous because of the monster, so workers can't go in, and since they can't mine bloodstone, money isn't circulating in the city that well. The entire city is actually on the brink of ruin. They say it's a monster stronger than a werewolf, but he feels like he could handle it. Jin says that perhaps he can. What kind of monster is it? Mad Skull. It's a monster with a bounty of 70 gold coins. Jin remembers that he has read about Mad Skull in the chronicles, and it's also one of the things he has faced before. It has an extremely hard skull and insane aggression. It had toughness and strength incomparable to a werewolf or even 10. It's no wonder they are struggling. It took him a month to kill it for the first time, and he died about 28 times, if not 30. The man asks if he thinks he can handle it, and in response, Jin grins and confirms as such. It seems that his next prey has been decided. With this in mind, Jin makes his way to the quarry. He heard they couldn't work for a while because of that Mad Skull. However, the gloomy look of the mine creates a chilling atmosphere. It is definitely not a place he'd want to stay for long. It would be best to finish the job and go back as quickly as possible. As he makes his way inside, though, he is suddenly stopped by someone appearing out of a nearby tent. The man apologizes and asks if he could wait for his turn. They've arrived here first, and they were just preparing for battle, actually. Jin just kinda stares at him and asks, "Since when is there a queue for hunting monsters?" The man has no defense for that, so he asks if he could join their team so they can hunt together. Jin is impressed by his redirections, but he wonders if he should do that. If he waits for them to finish and that mercenary group succeeds, it would be a waste of time. But still, he doesn't need to fight them if it's just about the order. Even though he would have to share the loot with this mercenary group, it might be better to work together, right? However, it seems that he can't easily trust people around here. He notes that he has plenty of people, so why does he want to bring him along? The man notes that it's pretty embarrassing to admit, but he wants to prioritize safety over performance. He thinks it would be a big help if he joined them. He is strong, isn't he? Jin wonders why he is speaking formally all of a sudden. As expected, these bastards are fundamentally weak against the strong. He asks why he thinks he is strong, but the man just points at Red Wolf, noting that this thing wouldn't be following him if it weren't strong. Another woman who is petting Red Wolf notes that wolf monsters are known for their independence, Even the Order Alliance hasn't been able to tame them. It's amazing to see one following a human so well. Jin is surprised. He told Matt to stay hidden, so when did he come out? They offered him meat, didn't they? Meat cuisine of this world that he hasn't even tasted yet. The Red Wolf, sensing that his master is a bit iffy about what he did, throws the piece of meat toward him reluctantly. Jin is a bit appalled at first, wondering what this beast takes him for, but he can't deny the glistening of the meat. His body is reacting on its own. Come to think of it, when was the last time he had a real meat dish? Ah, but a dog was eating that, wasn't it? It was also on the ground. Can he let go of his dignity before he can pick it up? The woman stops him and notes that if he's hungry, he should have some for himself. Jin looks at her like a starving man. Perhaps this is a goddess he can trust. With this, they all go inside of the mines, and Jin enjoys the piece of meat. It's simply delicious. It has savory juices overflowing, and a spiciness resembling Sichuan cuisine. It's a taste that cannot be compared to the monster meat he ate to survive. The woman notes that they haven't been able to introduce themselves, right? The man introduces himself as Johan, captain of the Black Marlin mercenary group, and the woman introduces herself as Claire. Jin introduces himself as well, Jin, and the man notes that it's nice to meet him. If he has any questions, he should feel free to ask at any time. Eventually, they arrive at their spot. This is where they will be fighting the Mad Skull. He tells the trap team to set up the nets. He asks the spear team to move to their assigned post. He also tells Claire that they should get started too, right? Jin watches with a careful eye and sees that she is practicing magic, right? This is the magic mentioned in the chronicles. It is much more dazzling than the descriptions let it out to be. She begins chanting, asking in the name of Claire to send blessings upon this land, and casts Feather Step on Johan. He notes that her buffs are excellent as always, and he has 3 minutes at best, and 5 at the most. Jin is amazed. Johan, who seemed to be more like a slug, has suddenly become much faster. This is magic. Huh? Could he use it too if he learned? Another man notes that they can't dally. The Mad Skull will be here soon. If even one person makes a mistake, they could all die, so they should stay sharp. Jin was handed a spear too. This plan, driving the monster into a trap and pouring firepower into it, isn't bad. However, will this strategy really work against a Mad Skull? Eventually, Johan arrives with the lured beast and immediately gets out of the way, allowing the trap team to use a mighty net and pull, trapping the Mad Skull within. With that, the spear team takes position and throws their spears around, making the beast writhe in pain. However, this also causes it to thrash about, allowing the trap team to lose control of the net. Jin can see from his vantage point that this really isn't good. They are being overpowered. They all try to hold it properly, but even if there are so many of them, they can't seem to tie up the beast. Sure enough, the net breaks under pressure, and sensing magic, it immediately goes after Claire, who certainly won't have enough time to chant another spell. Before anything can happen, Jin gets in front of her and stops the Mad Skull with sheer force, holding the beast's tusks with his hands. Claire tells him that it's dangerous, and that he should get away, but Jin tells her not to worry because he knows how to take down a Mad Skull after all. Suddenly, the Mad Skull throws its head up, and then crashes the tusks down on Jin, who unsheaths his blade, and manages to deflect the strike. However, this causes his hand to quiver. He thought he had gotten stronger, but this Mad Skull, it definitely has incredible raw power. Suddenly though, it charges in again. Suddenly though, he feels a wave of magic around him, and he crashes into the air next to Claire. This must be that magic buff. His body feels incredibly light. It feels like he just put down a 30-kilogram pack he was carrying. He smiles. As with this, he should be able to hunt it much more easily using that certain method. Johan and the others arrive, noting that they will help too, but he tells them to stay back. As for now, this will be much easier to do alone. He begins to lead the Mad Skull away, who charges in adamantly. To defeat one of these beasts, one only needs to know a few things. Even if it's called a Mad Skull, it is basically just a pig or a boar. It runs fast in a straight line, but turning for it is incredibly difficult. First, he'll use that to stop it dead in its tracks, making it crash into the walls again and again. Suddenly it smashes so hard that they get out of the quarry, but thanks to the power the Mad Skull used, it trips and falls on the ground roughly. Jin is impressed by the power of the buff. It looks like it's struggling even more with chasing him. This is good. Now he must move on to the next step. Its tusks, which are as long swords, serve the same purpose as hands do to humans, but those hard tusks can't be cut with just one sword. In that case, he will aim for the boar's weak point, the nose. The Mad Skull immediately screams as its nose gets singed and cut in half, making it thrash about. The pain intensifies with every movement. It will become too burdensome to attack any further soon. With that in mind, he charges in, cutting the Mad Skull's joints again and again, not giving it any chance to attack and finishing the fight with a manic grin on his face. The others eventually follow him outside too, and wonder what happened. They should be finding Jin around here, but before they can make another move, the red wolf gets in front of them and lets out a low growl. Before yawning and looking toward its master, Claire understands he is basically telling them not to interfere, right? Jin eventually arrives, blood around his mouth, and everyone asks what happened to the mad skull. Actually, he was just enjoying a monster essence. He tells them that there's no mad skull here anymore. Now all that's left is pork. Johan is amazed. He actually did it alone. He has never heard of anyone taking down a mad skull solo. Suddenly though, the red wolf smells something and growls toward the entrance of the quarry. Another mad skull appears, with much shorter tusks, but still just as mad. Johan can't believe that there's another one there. It wasn't supposed to be one. So he tells everyone to prepare for battle. However, Claire tells him to stop as she sees that this is a female mad skull, and it has piglets. Those piglets look around with worry, and the mad skull mother basically pleads with them using her eyes. With that, she just leads her piglets away, leaving their defeated father to his fate. Claire guesses that they must have been planning to raise their young here, making them feel kind of bad. Anyway, they are all glad it left peacefully, although Jin doesn't really know what to think. That night in the 5th Pioneer City, they rent the entire tavern, and Johan thanks everyone for their great work without anyone getting seriously injured. He can't tell them how happy he is that they caught the mad skull. Now it is the highlight of the hunt, the flower of their labor. Actually, it's settlement time. Everyone cheers, and Claire looks at the bags of money before her. Wasn't there a word supposed to be 70 gold coins? But this looks way more than that. Johan laughs and notes that it's thanks to him making a fuss over it. It wasn't just one mad skull after all. There were 2, and even piglets. Since the job was much more dangerous than the information provided, he demanded a bigger reward. Naturally, what is in front of them is a whopping 110 gold coins. Jin is a bit confused though, as they did not fight the mother, and they still gave that money. Johan just smiles sharply at him, and notes that he told a little white lie. The others give their thumbs up, as expected of their captain. If they don't get caught, then it was the truth all this time, right? Jin sighs, finding them rather interesting, and Johan puts a hand on his shoulder, noting that he wants to give half of the earnings to Jin. Nobody has a problem with that, right? Jin is surprised. Really? Half of it? Johan notes that if it weren't for him, they would have died a dog's death, so he should accept it gracefully. Since the base reward went up, there is enough for them to split, and it's what they all want after all. He can see it on their faces. They were actually a pretty big help for him too, it seems. Not everyone here is bad. He picks up his drink and thanks them all in return. He will pay for all their drinks tonight. Everyone cheers for him, and they begin to chug barrels of beer. But suddenly Jin sees Claire going somewhere. He asks what she's doing, and she explains that she's going to practice some magic. Interested, Jin follows after her, and sees her practicing her mana with her hands out. For some reason, she must be really tired. Training right after a hunt is really impressive, but should he try learning it too? That morning, as they pack up the spoils to be sold, Claire asks if he really wants to learn magic. If he does, he shouldn't worry, as she can certainly teach him. She actually wanted to give something as a gift anyway. When the mad skull charged them, he saved her, unlike a certain someone that's next to her. Teaching him magic is the least she can do. If a mercenary group that doesn't even protect their mages, which is one of the basics in combat, asked her to teach them, she would naturally refuse. But Jin is different, isn't he? Johan intervenes, noting that magic isn't something one can learn overnight, right? They have to leave this village in 2 days. Anyways, Claire continues pouting and tells him that Jin can come with them, but Johan left wondering why a strong monster hunter like him would follow some mercenaries like them. A brave wolf is usually most comfortable alone. It would be rude for the likes of them to intrude on his great journey. Jin just kind of stares at him, as it's not really like that. He doesn't have anything to do. This guy is making him feel like he has to save face for no reason. Should he tell a little lie too? He clears his throat and asks what their next destination is. Johan explains that it's the 4th Pioneer City. He heard there is a big job over there. Jin seems lost in thought for a moment and explains that he actually was planning to go there too. Perhaps he could accompany them and learn magic on the way, right? Johan and Claire nod at each other, glad to see that their strategy worked, and they immediately clap him on the back, noting that it's a real coincidence. It's great for them to have a reliable ally like him, right? Jin just smiles, noting that the next destination has been decided. They begin walking out of the Pioneer City and are accompanied by a Tarask, a monster which has undergone selective breeding as a means of transport, and it's one of the few monsters tamed by humanity. Jin has read about them in the chronicles. It seems they used it as a pack animal instead of horses. It's absolutely massive too. Johan tells everyone to keep going, as they have a long way to go. That night, Jin tries to learn magic with Claire. Learning something new is always difficult. At first, there are a dozen reasons why learning is hard, but the hardest among them is the one requiring repetitive effort in any task. There are parts where growth is only possible through constant repetition. However, growth in that area is naturally slow and can even stagnate in some cases. Repeating the same thing during a plateau is very painful. However, he is used to the pain and very patient. The 12 years of pain he has endured to survive in the demonic realm have made him grow even tougher than before. He just needs to repeat it until it works. And one night he begins to see the magic around, something he is getting used to already. Claire claps as she sees this. He just succeeded in feeling the magic. Jin guesses that was mana. To think it took 10 days just to feel mana. It certainly is a difficult step. Claire notes that, if she is honest, he is a little, well, a lot, on the slow side, but it's still pretty good. Some people with absolutely no talent could even go their entire lives without feeling mana. Now they will move on to the second stage. She takes out a vial of something blue and pours it in a goblet before telling him to undress and putting on a glove. Jin grumbles about this but does so, and Claire begins painting something on his back. Jin asks what she is doing, and she explains that she can inject mana into his body with this. She is basically making a path. When it's all done, she notes that she will be injecting mana into him now, so he should try to feel it pretty well now. Jin agrees, and Claire begins making him immediately feel a surge of mana all around him. It's on a totally different scale than what he felt earlier. It's deep inside his body. He can feel something thicker than even blood flowing. Claire asks if he can feel it, and he confirms as such. He feels something flowing in his body, an incredible power. Claire explains that he has taken the first step to using magic. There are 3 basic stages of learning: feeling mana, storing mana in the body, and utilizing the magic. Since he has succeeded in the first stage already, they will move on to the second stage. She will control the mana and send it towards his heart. What he needs to do is use the sensation of holding his breath to create a vessel in his body to store that magic. Jin understands and begins concentrating as he does so, allowing Claire to start. However, as soon as she begins doing that, she sees something, a mighty praying mantis feeding on beasts. As it turns to face her, she sees that it has hundreds of eyes, all predatory and gleaming with ancient power. Claire is shocked to feel such an ominous energy, but this can't be. Before she can wonder who or what it is from, her mana begins to get sucked in through Jin's new core. At this rate, all of her mana will be drained, and she won't be able to do anything before that can happen. The red wolf uses one of its tails and drags her away, putting her down gently. Claire is shocked. Did he sense she was in danger and came to help her maybe? Jin is a bit concerned too, as she falls to the ground and asks if she's all right. Claire doesn't say anything, catching her breath. What she saw earlier was his mental world. It's when a person's power and nature take shape and appear in the form of a world. Since it depends on the life that person has lived up until now, the mental world varies by person. But for such an ominous presence to exist in his mental world, what could be the reason? She knows only one. She gets up slowly and tells Jin to please answer honestly. Did he perhaps ever ingest an internal core? Jin asks what she means, and she explains that she means the crystal found inside of a monster's body. Jin calls them monster essence actually, and he confirms that he has eaten some of them. Claire is increasingly more worried now, and asks how many he ate. Jin doesn't really know the number. He has started eating them as he started hunting monsters, so he's been eating them constantly for about 10 years. If she's asking for a number, it could be thousands or tens of thousands, but why? Is that some kind of problem? Claire naturally agrees that it's a problem. If a human eats an internal core, then they either die or turn into a monster themselves. Karma, which is also known as retribution, is the name of the turbid energy found inside the demonic realm. The living beings that absorb it gain bizarre abilities in their body, and the monster core is a nucleus formed by that karma which has been accumulating in the body. As they continue walking and Jin talks with Johan, Claire is bothered by what she knows. The Dark Priest, that's what she's thinking about. When the otherworldly gate opened, and that karma swallowed the world, there were humans who followed the monsters that absorbed the karma and began calling them angels. Those guys ate monster cores. Some even sacrificed humans to monsters. They were madmen. Jin has told her that night that he had eaten monster cores and a lot of them. Could he also be a Dark Priest? However, that really shouldn't be the case. If he were a Dark Priest, he wouldn't admit to eating monster cores that easily, nor show her his mental world, right? But is that not a stranger? Even if he didn't know monster cores were dangerous, why is he going around and eating such gross things like their cooked eggs? He truly is a mysterious man. Jin, unbeknownst to her, saw other monsters eating monster cores and began copying them. She grabs his attention, noting that whatever the case, he must stop eating monster cores from this day forward. He is lucky he is still alive, as he could have really died. Jin wonders if that's so. She is saying that eating monster cores kills a person, but there's a perfectly fine living witness right in front of her. Is that information wrong? If it's correct, then is the fact that he felt nothing after killing those people and the fact that he keeps wanting to fight because of the monster cores. He walks forward, noting that he will try, but Claire isn't satisfied with that. He should absolutely stop and never touch them again. If he keeps eating monster cores, it's not just his life that's at risk. He won't be able to use magic either. This shocks Jin. Really, he won't be able to use magic. Claire can't believe that that's what got his attention and sighs. In his current state, it will be difficult to use mana manifestation, but he shouldn't worry too much, as at least he should be able to use mana arts eventually. They arrive at a fourth pioneer city where everyone is gathered up in the plaza. There are so many mercenaries gathered around here. Claire tells him that it's too early to be surprised. The scale of this request is one thing, but it's also being overseen by a holy knight, Raymond of all people. Jin is rather impressed by him. He's got an intense aura that can't be compared to mercenaries. He can tell from a glance that he is no ordinary human. Do a lot of people usually gather when a holy knight is in charge? Claire explains that this is because it's a request from the golden bug wolf. Jin is happy to hear that. Golden bug. Is it like an insect-type monster? Claire asks if he really doesn't know about the golden bug, but Jin just acts confused. Johan explains that the golden bug is the greatest businessman. He's a tycoon with so many assets that he is considered one of the richest people in the entire world, basically. However, he suddenly died recently too. Jin asks if he was killed, and Johan notes that there are rumors like that, but nothing is certain. Jin doesn't understand though. If he is dead, why are so many people gathered around again? Johan explains that the golden bug has two sons. Since they have inherited the golden bug wolf legacy, someone has to move the two sons' fortune inside the barrier. That is the request this time. Jin understands. Moving the fortune of a tycoon, no wonder so many people gathered around. Suddenly their names are called forward from the tent. The black mercenary group should present themselves at once. Hearing this, Johan catches Jin by surprise, and notes that it's an important moment. He should come with him for a second though. Inside, Johan presents Jin like he's a gem, noting that this is their mercenary group's top power. This is a person who caught a mad skull and even tamed a wolf. Outside, murmurs are being heard. They have heard of this rumored mad skull crusher, but he doesn't look that strong. Jin asks what nonsense this is, and Johan tells him to put up with it for a bit, and things will go well. Good is good, right? Raymond looks at them a bit sternly, and notes that they will be awarded 100 gold coins. They will depart tomorrow as soon as the sun rises, so they should keep that in mind. Johan immediately celebrates, and Jin asks if they are really sparing 100 gold coins just to move luggage. Johan confirms as such. That's how this field works after all. Half is for the labor and half for the name value. That's the way the hiring fee is set. Thanks to his great name value as the head crusher, they got a great rate. Jin wonders what that name even means, and Johan explains that it's simply the name attached to him. It means he crushes the heads of the monsters he faces. Whoever came up with that has a terrible naming sense, but it's a good thing, right? This level of fame will help him in learning mana arts as he wants to. In the mercenary group quarters, they seem to be holding a type of brawl in the arena, where people are enjoying drinking. Claire asks Jin if he will be alright participating in this, but she was the one who said holy knights use mana arts well. He plans to draw their attention and learn mana arts this way. She shouldn't worry too much, as he has something in mind. According to the chronicles, holy knights are beings who feel interest when they see someone strong, and if they acknowledge one's strength, it is said one can receive good treatment from them. That won't be too hard for him. He faces his opponent and thinks that this is an arena where they fight while risking each other's reputations. He will draw the holy knight's attention here. His first opponent moves in a boxing way, but Jin just weaves his jab and punches him in the face before using his own body as a pillar to smash his head. The people think that the head crusher is living up to his title, and opponents gather up to fight him. Jin, however, just looks at Raymond, as he got his attention. However, although he can't be satisfied with just his attention, the real fight starts now. To make the holy knight take him seriously, he needs to defeat more and more guys. If he defeats 2 or 3 like that, he'll wonder where a guy like him came from, but when he defeats 10, it will get more interesting. If he's a real knight, he will think something like this. He would want to put his apprentice knight against him, which is Rex, who doesn't really want to fight a mere mercenary. When that moment comes, that's when Jin springs the trap. He refuses, as that's how the negotiations to learn mana arts begin. Everyone is shocked as they hear him refuse, and Rex himself is pretty mad. Why would he refuse? Raymond, however, remains calm and asks if he is hurt anywhere. Jin says that he is not, so Raymond doesn't understand why he is refusing the duel. Jin explains that he is a mercenary after all, a mercenary who chases after money and fame. Since someone like him is fighting a holy knight's apprentice, he can't just fight for free, can he? So he wants to make a bet. Raymond explains that for a bet to go through, they must both have something they want from each other. Is there anything they could ever want from him? Jin agrees that while he might not be a grand enough figure to boost his reputation, he does have an ungodly amount of money, as he can see. Everyone cheers as this guy really is a crazy bastard, suggesting to gamble with a holy knight who lives and dies with honor. How lightly does he take them? Rex gets immediately annoyed, but Raymond clasps a hand on his shoulder and notes that they do not need money. Instead, during the fight, they should agree to waive all liability. That is all they want. Jin is glad that he won't have to pay a settlement. He can beat him up as much as he needs to. He accepts and notes that he will tell him what they want after the duel. With that, Rex descends down to the arena and looks at Jin with a very murderous intent. Everyone cheers for Jin as they bet their entire forces on him, and Claire tells him to give a signal if it gets too dangerous. Jin tells her not to worry, as he will win. Rex asks how far he should go, and Raymond tells him to give it his all. This guy certainly won't be an easy opponent. Immediately, Rex activates his mana arts, which everyone notices, and out of nowhere, appears in Jin's face, who is pretty surprised. His speed is definitely on a different level from those other small fry. It is a refined and powerful force. He gets out of the way before the strike can land, and thinks that if he takes a clean hit from something like this, he could actually die. These are mana arts, huh? It is very interesting. Rex, however, doesn't give him the chance to recover. He lets out another strike, which Jin has to block, but it sends him skidding on the ground. He said his name was Jin, right? He might be a renowned mercenary in the demonic realm. However, in the end, he is just a wild beast. He will make him regret looking down on the holy knights. The people around are confused. The Crusher is being pushed back. Even as an apprentice, a holy knight is on another level entirely, it seems. Claire is kind of worried for him, and Raymond says nothing as they continue to fight. However, seeing Jin, he gets a strange feeling. That man, when he fought the other mercenaries, he didn't drag it out and took them all out in one strike. Yet his movements right now are extremely passive. Could it be that he has something up his sleeve? As Rex performs a long-range infused punch, Jin just deflects it, making it dash into the wood around. Johann is shocked. He deflected a holy knight's mana arts. Is that even possible? Jin wipes the blood off his mouth, thinking that with this, he is done measuring his combat power. Now he will check his durability. He closes the distance immediately and slams a fist into Rex's chest, confusing Raymond. He got hit by a normal punch, but he is making a face like that. Is that man? He wasn't really going for an opening at this time. He was just savoring the fight, seeing Rex catch his breath but still on his feet. Jin is glad that he is enduring it. It's all thanks to those mana arts, right? He is curious just how many hits like these he can endure before he falls down. However, before they can continue, Raymond gets in front of Rex and stops the fight, noting that it's their loss. They will grant him whatever he wants, as promised, so they will end it here. Jin is kinda saddened, as he was just getting started. That was a buzzkill, but still, his plan was a success. Everyone cheers for the head crusher, as they always believed in him, and didn't doubt him like 5 seconds ago. At the Golden Bug Wolf Mansion, the first son, Derek, and the second son, Cedric, are eating like pigs, and looking like them too. Cedric asks if it's going to take 10 days to get inside the wall, and Derek, damn those bastards from the Order Alliance after all the money they've dumped into them. How could it take 10 days? That's just how these bastards operate. After all, they've always been all talk and no substance. Cedric wonders if it will be alright until then, but Derek feels there's nothing else they can do. They just have to pray their bodies hold out until then, and keep their hunger at bay. Mana arts utilize mana like a part of the body to enhance one's weapon and body. Anyone with a bit of talent can use it. However, depending on one's proficiency, it's said to be a basic technique capable of splintering mountains and seas. For example, what Raymond is doing now is the Sacred Fire Slash, and he cuts 3 trees down at once. Rex claps at him. As expected, he is truly amazing. He is simply radiant, the hope of the Holy Knights. How can he be so perfect? Raymond tells him to relax, and Rex immediately understands, leaving and telling him to keep up the good work. Jin is kind of reminded of his own mutt, seeing him. But anyway, is that a proper mana art? It definitely looks stronger than what that apprentice knight used. Even so, shouldn't he be able to do this much even without a technique? Raymond notes that he's shown him firsthand, so he should focus again. When he flexes his arm, the veins pop, and the muscles contract. He is holding the mana within the muscles. Jin is used to it up to this point. It's similar to what Claire taught him. However, he suddenly sees that a lot of mana is flowing through his body. Since when did he have this much inside of him? It's a calm and light flow of mana. Is this Claire's mana? Suddenly though, the mana begins to turn dark. Unbeknownst to Raymond, who explains that he should gradually consume that mana and move his body. Firstly though, he feels the dark energies and turns around, seeing that Jin is actually using mana arts right after learning it. But, more importantly, what is that ominous mana? Mana arts take their color and form based on the influence of one of the user's mental world, but to have such mana that feels so ominous, just what in the world could be inside of him? Jin is pleased and immediately gets to practicing slashing in wide arcs to let the mana flow. He wonders though, is it because his proficiency is low? It feels pretty inefficient compared to the effort required. However, it does look pretty damn cool. As they continue their journey, Claire is pleased to hear that he has already mastered mana arts. It couldn't have been easy. That's really amazing. Jin notes that it's all thanks to her, and asks if she is all right. When she first helped him last time, it felt like her mana went inside of him. Claire doesn't know what to say. She says she's fine. He saved her before, so he should consider this a gift. Jin sees her trying to be courteous. That was probably too much mana to just brush off, but thanks to that, he picked up mana art quickly. Suddenly Rex arrives next to him, finding it unbelievable that he is rejoicing over learning just the basics. He shouldn't slack off in his training to take time out of his day for someone like him. He should never forget the grace of his lord, Raymond. Jin and Claire just look at him, both wondering why he is spouting bullshit. Is he, perhaps, still salty about losing yesterday? However, this is perfect. He was just getting bored anyway, so he should bruise his ego a bit and pick a fight. Before he can, Raymond smacks the butt of the horse Rex is riding, causing him to run off. He tells Jin to please understand, as he will try to keep him in check. Suddenly, they hear a bunch of screams coming from the Golden Bug brothers, calling them idiots, as they are hungry. Jin notes that it looks like something is going on there, but Raymond tells him not to pay any mind. It's just the usual power trip from the employers. Jin asks if he means the Golden Bug sons, and Raymond confirms as such. Since they're fathers, they haven't stopped themselves from binge eating. If their meals are delayed even for a moment, they will throw tantrums. It just gives one a headache if he cares, so ignoring them is the wisest answer. Jin finds it too strange to be just stress-induced binge eating. He has a bad feeling about this, and the more food they send away that way, the stronger it feels that energy, that it feels like a monster is about to burst out. Sure enough, one of the tortoise-looking monsters that was carrying them begins to scream out, and suddenly lands with its jaw open on the ground, completely and utterly spent. Raymond asks what's going on, but they don't get it either. The Tarrasque carrying their client suddenly started rampaging. Raymond is shocked, and immediately calls Rex before using his mana arts. He explains that their client is their top priority, so they should count the Tarrasque down, even if they have to kill it before they can do much, though a bunch of jagged tips appear from the sun's tent, and a horrifyingly morbid thing drops down. Claire immediately recognizes this as an abomination. It's a human who turned into a monster because of the demonic realm karma. That is what an abomination is. Jin finally understands why he was feeling that pressure, and Raymond holds his breath before jumping off his horse and unleashing a sacred fire slash, immediately cutting the beast in two. He then screams at Rex, who uses this momentum to cut the beast in four, leaving it crumpled on the ground. However, it slowly begins regenerating. Unbeknownst to everyone, Raymond tries to get Rex out of there, but he is not too quick, and the beast lunges at him, swallowing him whole except for his arm, which is completely cut off. Everyone gasps in shock as Rex's arm flies in the air, and Raymond, filled with justified fury, unleashes another sacred fire slash on the abomination, putting it to the ground with a thud. He begins to dig around in the monster's remains, trying to find Rex to make sure that he doesn't bleed out. But suddenly, a bunch of tendrils from the beast's other appendages appear, and they all strike at Raymond at the same time, who is none the wiser. Seeing this, Jin steps in, grabs Raymond, and slashes the tendrils away before putting him down. Although he's still injured, the others are shocked. The Holy Knight himself is down. Are they just going to die at this rate? The abomination begins to reform itself, and Jin thinks about it. This is a human who turned into a monster. If he keeps eating internal cores, will he end up becoming something like this too? But worrying about it right now won't solve a thing. First, he needs to get rid of this bastard and then think about it. As he moves, he thinks that the abomination has incredible digestion and endless regeneration, and at this rate, this will end up becoming a battle of attrition. While saving his stamina, he needs to find a weakness. As he continues cutting, the beast throws him away with a tendril, hitting him roughly in the chest, but not a debilitating injury. It's still annoying. Johann unleashes a spear and notes that they will help too. Claire also unleashes her magic and buff the weapons of their spearmen. Thanks to the magic, the regeneration seems to be slowing down. They can actually do something. Jin is pleased and smirks. Not bad. He thought they'd all be scared out of their minds right now. Seeing this though, the abomination gets up, and Jin feels a change in energy. Suddenly it roars, and two faces appear on the abomination's shoulders, the faces of the golden bug sons. The abomination lets out a bunch of tendrils again and sucks them into its removed flesh, dragging it back with a slow and regurgitating manner. Jin tries to stop it, but the abomination simply slaps him away, and using one of the screaming faces tries to cut him up, but he dodges and weaves just in time. Johan asks if he is all right, and Jin is, but they should all be careful, as this thing just got stronger. Johan wonders what they do now, and Jin guesses they just have to keep hacking away at it. If they keep cutting, eventually only the internal core will be left. The problem is the regeneration speed. Johan notes that if this is his issue, he shouldn't worry. Just as it got stronger, they've learned its attack patterns too. Jin understands. If that is the case, then he will slice it up to his heart's content with these mana arts. He charges in again, slashing tendril after tendril with his dark power, and continues driving his blade into the abomination. He tells everyone to stop it from regenerating, and as he keeps cutting away, he eventually finds the core, which tries to hide itself, but Jin knows it's over. He cuts the core in half in a wide slash, ending the fight, making everyone hold their breath. The two sides of the core slump to the ground and begin twirling around. Quite unlike other cores, everyone cheers as they took down a horrifying abomination. Their reputation is going to skyrocket. Jin, however, is focused on one of the core halves, seeing how strange it is. As they continue celebrating, they don't see a woman with red hair who is staring at them. The golden bug sons, Derek and Cedric in the end, were no different from their father. Such poor things. How they could be so utterly incompetent and useless. She can't really believe it. Suddenly, as she continues crying, she sees that the man who fought the abomination is kicking one of the core halves in his hand, and wonders why he is taking the internal core. What is he going to do with it? That night, as Jin makes a fire outside of their camp, naturally, he consumes the monster core he got, but instead of gaining power or something else, he sees someone else's memory, one of the golden bug son's memories in fact. He sees a woman walking up to him, and notes that the fact that his father, the golden bug, has died, is the result of incompetence. If they wish to leave, they should show her the results. She wants to see just how special they can be, and if they are worth joining her in the first place. With that, she drops something into the son's eye, something that made both of them the monsters that they were before. Jin immediately recoils and walks away from his fire, throwing up what he ate. It does happen rarely, but eating an internal core can grant one the power of that monster, or sometimes it also makes one absorb that monster's memories. These internal cores really are full of side effects. Was that memory just now from one of the golden bug sons? They turn into abominations after having something poured into them. They said abominations are created when humans are influenced by karma. Does that mean that the liquid contains karma? In that case, is that woman a dark priest? As he continues his stride, in the morning, Claire comes up to him, noting that they have to leave now, but sees that he is pretty sweaty, and his breath is ragged. She asks what happened and wonders if he ate another internal monster core. Jin pauses, wondering how to explain that he saw a monster's memories as a mere side effect of an internal core. Saying unnecessary things might cause a misunderstanding, so he keeps it a secret, noting that it's nothing. The dark priest woman looks at him for a bit, and then at the group he just joined. She wonders if he's plotting something. To think someone who eats raw internal cores is doing the same work as the Order Alliance. She is getting curious. When they meet again, will it be as allies or as enemies? Before leaving, Raymond holds a ceremony for Rex, offering prayers to Ea, the god of harmony. Rex was braver than anyone and dedicated his entire life to peace, so he hopes she will watch him so that his life's passing is not in vain. Jin thinks that even though they only dueled once, he looks young, so it's really a shame that he died. Suddenly though, Raymond feels a shadow fall over him, and sees that it's a red wolf, which is standing upon the ridge under which they buried Rex. Raymond immediately bows down and gives thanks, making Jin wonder what he is doing. Raymond expresses gratitude for the comfort Ea, the god of harmony, has given them. The red wolf, according to their order's view, is considered the closest companion to Ea, so the fact that a red wolf has appeared means that Ea is comforting them. Jin scratches his cheek and notes that it's just his pet mutt, which Raymond calls blasphemy. How dare he call the red wolf a mutt? Furthermore, that monster is not a species that can be tamed. Jin sighs as he knew he wouldn't believe him, and tells Mutt to stop acting and come here at once. The red wolf, sensing his master's adamancy, immediately jumps down and acts like a submissive dog, even holding out his paw and everything. Raymond is shocked. The red wolf is a monster that even the Order could not tame, so how could a mere individual do it? Jin explains that he just killed the werewolf, and this thing has been following him ever since. Raymond just wonders what's with this guy, but seeing the red wolf stand over Rex's grave, he asks a favor. If the red wolf does not have a name yet, He wants him to name it Rex. For one, taking a monster that their species considers sacred and calling it a mutt is inappropriate. Secondly, with the single-minded resolve to purify the entire demonic realm, he wishes for Rex's will, which fought against the evil, not to end here, because he did not let go of his sword until the very end. He pleads with him to let that red wolf carry on his legacy. Jin thinks about it for a bit and asks Mutt if he's okay with it, and he nods. So Jin confirms that, from this moment forth, he shall be Rex. Before they can continue further, an old man appears and apologizes if he appeared at the wrong time. Raymond recognizes him. He is an elder, the elder of the third pioneer city, Bo, which means he is one of the highest authorities in the area. Everyone walks up, and Raymond greets the elder with Bo, apologizing for visiting during such a grieving time. Raymond tells him to pay no mind, and asks what brings him here. Bo explains that he's come because an investigation is underway regarding the deaths of the Golden Bug sons. Raymond is confused. Does he still think their deaths were the work of these people? Jin did not expect to be under suspicion with the others, but it makes sense. The clients died while they were transporting their massive fortune, so it's only natural to suspect the mercenaries. Raymond asks if his evidence was not enough, but Bo says otherwise. It was plenty. However, as to how they ended up turning into abominations, nothing has been revealed yet. He can smell the stench of a dark priest all over this incident. So what does he think? When Bo calls Jin by his name, Jin is surprised to see that he actually knows his name, and asks if he is really suspecting him of being a dark priest. They are taken to the third pioneer city, Vitra Arena. Bo explains that people who are as strong as he usually start showing their talents from a young age, but he just appeared out of nowhere one day and started pulling off one massive feat after another. On top of that, he coincidentally got involved in the abomination incident. Doesn't he think that is highly suspicious? Jin is surprised. Well, people around here seem to keep tabs on who's strong, but if that's the case, it does make sense why it might seem shady, especially since he is not from this world. However, he simply can't understand. What does that have to do with him sparring with him? Raymond agrees that the mercenary just got out of a battle not long ago, so his body might not be in a perfect condition for fighting. Bo doesn't really care. Is he saying he's refusing to cooperate with the investigation? Both can see that he is completely unreasonable, and Jin wonders what he should do. He can't just beat up a guy who suspects him of being a dark priest, all because he is strong and all. Plus, fighting an old man like him might be troublesome too. Bo can sense his worry. He has a lot on his mind, huh? Is he worried because he is so old? He appreciates the thought, but there is no need for his consideration. The reason he rose to a position of elder was purely due to his own strength. Jin can see how fast he is, and then Bo unleashes a great bell strike right into Jin, sending him flying into a wall. Raymond explains that the Vitra monks are martial artists who possess incredible combat prowess, and the elder is one of the strongest among them. He mustn't let his guard down even for a second. Bo charges in again, believing that he is being a bit biased if he keeps taking this side. This old man might get jealous and lose control of his strength. He rushes in again, but Jin dodges this strike and pushes off the wall, striking Bo with his blade at the same time. Jin is surprised that Bo caught his blade with his bare hands. His strikes really hurt a lot, though they hit the exact same spot the abomination got him in. Wait, his body is completely healed. Those injuries from fighting the abomination should have left him bedridden for at least 2 weeks, right? Even the damage from that attack now is just healing. Wait, perhaps eating that abomination's monster core gave him regeneration abilities. If that's so, this is a jackpot. He continues clashing with Bo, who notes that he really is not injured from the battle. He sure knows how to get an old man riled up. He would love to spar with him more if time allowed, but he can't act childishly now that he's confirmed the rumors about his strength. It's time to move on to the next step. He begins using the mind's eye, right on Jin. Emptying oneself is the way to become truly one with oneself. He gave up his 2 eyes for the mind's eye to open his 3rd eye. It's an eye of the heart that pierces through the very essence of the soul. Now he can see whether Jin is a dark priest or a rising new light. He sees exactly what Claire saw in him, that mantis with 1,000 eyes, but he dispels the beast, and he enters Jin's mental world, which is filled with beasts. Jin taps Bo on the shoulder, asking if he's all right, as he really is unable to sense any mana, so he doesn't really know what's going on. Bo is shocked by a mental world that goes beyond unpleasant and straight into the terrifying. This is the first time he has seen something like this. Still, his mental world has not completely collapsed, so it means he is not a dark priest. In that case, he bows down his head and apologizes and tells him to forgive this old man for his rudeness. Verifying whether he was a dark priest or not was incredibly important. Jin wonders what this is all of a sudden, and then someone else comes inside, noting that it is because she wanted to entrust him with a quest related to the dark priests. It is a pleasure to finally meet him. She is Cindy. the youngest daughter of the Golden Bug, Jin begins walking through the forest with Bo and Cindy, who notes that this is not the first time an abomination has appeared like this. Recently, with the third pioneer city as the epicenter, many people have been turning into them. Even the surrounding forests are becoming corrupted into the Nemoric realm. Eventually, they arrive at a spot Cindy mentioned, the Rift Core. It's an object that spreads the demonic realm. Areas where a rift core appears gradually turn into the demonic realm. A bunch of priests are there, praying the core away, and a bunch of alchemists are also spraying something on it, effectively purifying it. It does not seem like an easy task, however. Jin wonders, wasn't the power of karma supposed to weaken the further one gets from the Northern Empire? Something like this happening is really weird, right? Cindy confirms as such. It means there is someone behind it, a dark priest. If the number of abominations and rift cores continues to increase at this current rate, the third pioneer city that they worked so hard to build will face greater dangers. Bo confirms as such, and in worst-case scenarios, they could lose the entire city. That is why they meticulously tried to find the Dark Priest's hideout, and they've finally found a suspected location. With that said, would he join them in the extermination operation in 2 weeks? Cindy confirms he will be compensated with the highest level of pay. Now Jin understands this is what they wanted him for. Bo, the elder of the pioneer city, and Cindy, the only one left from the Golden Bug family. It's a request from Big Shots. So is he finally being acknowledged? The next morning, as they continue their escort mission, Claire notes that she was pretty worried about Jin. If he is being famed as a dark priest, death was naturally given, and she heard there was brutal torture involved too. Jin didn't hear about any of that, so he's glad things got cleared up. Finally, they arrive at the city behind the walls. The walled city urges. It's on a scale that it's incomparable to the pioneer cities, but it's the safest place in the world. Jin wonders if he will be able to live here someday. However, now is not the time. He goes up to Raymond, who nods and tells everyone to take a short break. Jin tells Johan that he's leaving for the third pioneer city, as he got a new request, and he knows it's a bit sudden. He knows that going their separate ways after a job is done is how it usually goes in this business, but it's always a bit sad. Jin agrees and asks what they will do now. Johan knows that they will have some drinks, and then probably drink some more with someone next to him. Agreeing, Jin asks Claire what she is going to do, and she guesses that she will have to start looking for another job. Jin wonders if she did not make enough money. Claire agrees this was a decent payout, but she is still far short of the money she needs to go to the magic tower. She calls herself a mage, but in the end, she has only gathered common knowledge, so her skills are barely passable. Well, it's not like she has a problem making a living right now, right? It's just that she got greedy and wants to learn higher tier magic. That's why she has been saving up money to attend the Magic Academy, where one can learn higher class magic. Jin guesses it is something like a university, and earning money just to study is pretty admirable. He hums a bit before pulling another bag out of his pack and asking if this is enough. That bag is filled with coins to help her get to the magic tower. Claire is immediately confused, noting that she couldn't possibly be that shameless. How could she accept such a huge sum? Jin knows that he is not giving it away for free. He's giving it because he is indebted to her, so she should consider it a gift. Claire is still hesitant, so Jin just throws the bag in her hands and turns slightly, noting that they'll see each other again sometime in the future. Claire blushes slightly, which turns into a more furious one, and then she grabs Jin's poncho, thanking him, and noting that she will definitely repay this favor. Jin nods, and tells everyone to take care. With that, he turns around and begins walking away. Rex wakes up too and gives a nod to Raymond, who smiles and tells him to take care and protect his master. As Jin walks inside the third pioneer city, he glances at the walls where Bo and Cindy are staying, with Cindy noting that Bo said nothing would happen, but seeing him come out here like this, he must be worried too. Bo asks what she's talking about, and Cindy is talking about that mercenary. He said so himself that Jin seems to have eaten a monster core. Bo remains silent for a moment, and explains that just because he has eaten a core does not mean they should consider him a dark priest. Cindy knows that he's saying something incredibly dangerous right now. If he ate a core, he would become intoxicated with power and lose his sense of self. Is that not basic sense? She wants him to tell her honestly. Does he still hope that Jin has humanity left? And is that why he's protecting him? Bo thinks of the man she's talking about and knows that he doesn't really want to have that conversation. Cindy clicks her tongue, apologizing if it was disrespectful, but he should keep this in mind. She will keep it a secret for now, but if Jin does anything wrong, she will frame him as a dark priest. If that happens, he who recommended Jin won't be safe either. Jin has already consumed numerous monster cores and has become unimaginably strong because of it. Despite that, his mental world has not collapsed. This is the proof that one can maintain their humanity even after eating monster cores. The world just isn't ready to accept Jin yet, so he's simply keeping this fact a secret. He is certain that the power that this young man possesses will be one that will bring great hope to this world. Jin is a part of the 1st Expeditionary Force, with the guards there beginning to chant something. Just as there is a time to love and a time to hate, if there is a time for peace, there is a time to fight. He pointed to my hands and commanded me to hold a sword, and pointed to my heart, saying to annihilate evil with faith. Suddenly, their chant is a little broken by Jin, just smacking his forehead with a rock and putting it down. He counts to 600, and his forehead completely regenerates. This is a special ability he obtained after a long time of eating monster cores, regeneration. To heal a simple bruise, it took about 10 minutes, and the fracture he got from the abomination healed in 2 days. Then, if his arm gets cut off, would it be possible to regenerate within a month? This is why he ate monster cores. He wants to try using it in actual combat right away. Suddenly someone comes, noting he heard his name was Head Crusher. But was that about crushing his own head? Jin apologizes if he startled them. There was something he wanted to try out. This is the Expeditionary Force Supreme Commander, the Order of Harmony, Roland. He denies worrying them. He likes geniuses like him. Geniuses are supposed to be completely messed up. He is talking about him when he is talking about a genius, by the way. He is a mercenary recommended by Elder Bo. He must be an incredible genius. For some reason, Jin doesn't really want to get close to this guy and asks what the plan is. Roland notes that geniuses are always impatient, and explains that they are heading to the forest north of the 3rd Pioneer City. First, they will clear out the rift cores in front of them, and make their way to the center. They won't know the exact duration of the battle until they get there, but their official goal is to finish the fight within 10 days. Jin knows that the forest shouldn't be that big, so 10 days is a bit too long. Roland agrees. Normally that would be a long time. However, because of the rift cores, the monster's territory has expanded. Suddenly, a mole monster jabs up at him, but he immediately reacts and cuts it in two. The ones that usually live deep within the demonic realm are popping out into the sun just like this, so 10 days is actually a pretty short time. Suddenly, a bunch more moles appear from the ground, and they begin to attack the guards with great fervor. Jin can see that these are leech moles. Roland commands his forces, telling them to keep their backs covered while they fight. If they show their backs, they are as good as dead. Roland sees Jin not moving and tells him to watch out, but he is already swarmed by moles and completely engulfed in them as he smiles. Roland screams out, asking if he is crazy, and the answer is yes. Using them as cover, Jin kills and eats their cores at the same time. If he eats all of them, wouldn't he be able to inherit the leech moles' abilities? He doesn't really think he needs the ability to dig underground, but this is a problem. The monsters right in front of him now only look like monster cores to him, and he is getting used to the taste. In the darkness of the leech mole swarm, he continues eating, thinking about inheritance. When consuming a monster's core, there is a very low chance of gaining that monster's skill. This is the real secret to how he managed to survive in the demonic realm for 12 years. However, he is starting to get full. He thinks he stuffed his face with about 40 cores by now. Shouldn't he have gained a digging ability? Suddenly he sees a hand going through the dim light of the swarm, with one of the other soldiers asking if he is all right. He asks what he is doing. This is dangerous. He is fine. He should maintain his position, as he can't really eat monster cores like this. The soldier just pulls him out and tells him not to worry. They are safe because the Holy Choir has started their performance. Sure enough, Roland and a bunch of others are using instruments like violins and drums to boost the physical capabilities of the soldiers nearby, allowing them to easily defend. Jin notices the same thing. Are they receiving buffs from the holy songs? But more importantly, that Roland guy, he thought he was a swordsman, but he is actually just a supporter. With this much-needed buff, the soldiers go on a counterattack, and by night, everything is cleared up. One of the soldiers explains that they will be recording their performances, so everyone who participated in today's battle should gather around, as the recorded results will reflect their rewards. While they do so, a bunch of soldiers just talk about Jin, unable to figure him out. He was smashing his head with a rock and now charged into the middle of the monsters, and now he's just digging in dirt. Jin is doing so to see if he got a digging ability, but it seems that he hasn't. Gaining an inheritance definitely requires some luck. Roland comes into his tent, asking if his body is all right, and Jin apologizes for startling him earlier. Roland denies it. His fighting today was impressive. Honestly, when he jumped right into that horde of monsters, he thought he was definitely going to die, but he proved himself with the results in the end. He heard he hunted 267 leech moles, right? The average soldier only took about 4 or 5, while even the holy knights were only around 100 to 150. Prodigies really are different. Jin scoffs. If he had just focused on hunting instead of stuffing his face with monster cores, the number would have been completely reversed. Jin asks if he is part of the support force, and Roland immediately blushes, asking what about it. Is he looking down on supporters? Jin just thought he was someone interested in raw power, so he was just surprised, since that was not what he expected. Roland clears his throat, noting that he saw right through him. In his heart, he's the kind of man who wants to wield a blade too. The thing is, the reason the Order Alliance fights is for peace. Countless people have lost their homes and are dying because of the demonic realm's encroaching territory. In a world like this, he chose the role where he could be of the most help. His swordsmanship is only slightly better than average, but his musical skills are top tier, even within the Order Alliance. Jin is surprised when he keeps talking about prodigies, geniuses, and whatever else. He thought he'd be an annoying guy, but he seems like a much more decent person than he thought. Jin notes that he wants to see his performance sometime, and he agrees. 1 week later, as they continue their advance, they hold a meeting inside the command tent. Roland explains that advancing into the Nemoric realm, while destroying numerous rift cores, is a dangerous task. They have faced kobolds, and even large-eared monsters. It's definitely true that the deeper they go, the stronger the monsters become. So how is the soldiers' morale? The soldier commander explains that they are far more spirited than they first started, which surprises Roland, but it really shouldn't. It seems that the mercenary they hired yesterday just takes out every single monster as soon as they appear and runs off somewhere. Roland scoffs and then laughs. They're getting outdone by a single mercenary. Doesn't that hurt the pride of the Order Alliance? The Knight Commander knows that this is no laughing matter. The soldiers are far too relaxed, and he's going to claim a massive amount of the performance rewards. Roland knows that a good thing is a good thing. Thanks to him, they have barely any casualties. The fact that stronger monsters are showing up means their destination is just right around the corner too, so they should rest, while they still can. Somewhere deep below, a bunch of dark priests are holding a meeting, with one of them asking if the Order Alliance is on the way. How did those guys find out about this place anyway? The priest woman from before explains that they planted so many rift cores around here. It wouldn't be odd if they weren't suspicious, though she still believes their youngest sibling anticipated this much when she made her move. Their chosen youngest sibling couldn't possibly be that incompetent. Meanwhile, the one below them, standing on a similar pillar, tells them not to worry. The defenders always have the advantage over the attackers. The enemy's reaction was only slightly earlier than expected. Either way, it will not interfere with the great plan of darkness. Eventually, Roland and the entire Order Alliance group find the giant hole that is filled with webs, and naturally, spiders. Roland asks a priest if they are sure this is the destination, and the priest confirms as such. The demonic realm's corrupted energy is concentrated here. Roland has never even heard of a place like this. This is bewildering to say the least. Jin also believes this seems a bit strange. Normally, it's advantageous to fight from high ground, but to dig a deep hole and build a hideout in it. Strange. Roland guesses that it's to avoid exposure, but then Jin notes they would have just dug a tunnel. In his opinion, it could also be a trap. Suddenly, just as he expected, a bunch of monsters appear from behind and begin pummeling the forces. They are Bigfoots, enormous monsters that grow 4 to 7 meters tall, characterized by immense strength, along with salmosas, snake monsters with sturdy skin and deadly venom. This combination goes through the forces with ease, and even pushes most of them into the pit. They all fall onto the webs, and the spiders are more than eager to feast on their vital blood. Roland certainly didn't expect something like this, and tells his soldiers to deal with the Bigfoots first, but they are too big. The Holy Choir will have to hurry and cast buffs. Jin, however, is very ecstatic to see this. He sees the largest of the pack rushing towards him, and he lets himself get knocked into the hole. To everyone's surprise, he sees that this is the only Bigfoot that has a snake wrapped around its arm. He knows too that they are fated opponents. Jin breaks his fall with his blade, stepping on a ridge, and the Bigfoot leader also does the same, using the terrain around it, the cobwebs, to support its mobility. It also possesses immense strength in close quarters combat, and for ranged battles, it's got the snake's poison too. Each of these is a truly coveted ability, and to him, the Bigfoot looks absolutely delicious. He falls into a web and twirls around, launching himself downward and into the Bigfoot. Normally, when two monsters join forces to fight, their strength doesn't just add up, it multiplies. But those kinds of monsters share a common weakness. Just as it's tricky for him to face two monsters at the same time, it's equally difficult for the monsters to treat their two bodies as one. No matter how good their teamwork is, when exposed to danger, eventually they will act purely on instinct. Sure enough, in trying to crush him from behind, the Bigfoot leader actually smacks the snake, scaring it and allowing Jin to cut its head off, killing both of them at the same time. Still, it was pretty decent for a gatekeeper. Suddenly though, he catches a faint smell of something, and it's coming from the snake monster's core. Why is he getting this strange feeling? Well, he doesn't really care for it, and begins consuming it. But he also feels that upon consuming it, A monster's ability was transferred. Can he now distinguish which monster's core grants the inheritance he has devoured? He has devoured so many monster cores that he is getting all sorts of crazy powers. This is a truly massive hole, so he wonders what kind of abilities he will get this time. Suddenly, though, a gigantic fireball flies towards him, and he is unable to react, with the dark priest from before laughing maniacally. He was acting far too relaxed in enemy territory. He's utterly pathetic for a human. Jin damns it all. It's a fail after all, and here he had hoped to get a poison ability, but it seems that he got something else entirely. Well, this is not bad either. Even if it's not the ability he wanted, it does seem pretty useful. He managed to block the fire attack thanks to this. It is an ability worth looking into. However, it seems that the fight is not over yet, as another gigantic fireball hurls itself towards him. He deflects it with his blade and charges in, leaving the dark priest shocked that he blocked an attack twice. Could this guy be him? That crazy bastard who hangs around humans while gorging on monster cores? If so, it seems he will have to go all out. From his back, a bunch of spider-like tendrils appear, and he dodges Jin's incoming strike before deflecting it with one of his mandibles. Jin knows what this is. It's inheritance. Did he perhaps get that skill by consuming the core of a spider monster? The dark priest notes that he's been waiting to face somebody like him. To think he would just show up at his doorstep. He is so thankful that he could cry. Using his influence on other spider monsters, he summons them to him. Jin, now realizing that he was never alone. A fire monster and a venom monster unleash their combined strikes on Jin. He deflects the strikes, but because of the firepower, the strikes explode right inside the hole, to the point that the blast is even visible outside of it. Jin, however, seems to be still alive right in the middle of the explosion. The dark priest thinks that this is excellent. To think somebody like him could withstand a direct attack. Is it a stretch to call him human anymore? Jin can see cracks forming in his skin. The combination of poison and fire created a much larger explosion, but Jin had expected that they could not be underestimated at all. He suddenly charges in at Jin, who dodges the incoming strike and blocks the other one, with the dark priest wanting to know how well he handles close-quarters combat. They continue slashing, and Jin uses his sword aura to deflect and push the dark priest away, but suddenly the fire and poison spiders unleash another flurry on him, causing a constant array of burning explosions. Jin wonders if he should deal with the spiders first, but it won't be easy because of that damn dark priest. His internal organs are getting severely damaged from the fire. His regeneration and stone skin abilities are at their limit. He cannot endure much longer. The only thing he can do now is this. As the dark priest attacks once again, Jin pushes past the spider's legs. This makes the dark priest laugh maniacally, as this is most intriguing. Now he understands why they left him alone. Not only did he block his attacks with that shoddy skill, but he even used mana arts. He is definitely too valuable a talent to kill. If that is the case, he will not kill him now. He will make him a special offer, in fact. He should join the dark priests, and if he does so, he will spare his life. He should think about it more, as it is certainly not a bad offer. Doesn't he already know that using skills makes him special? Ordinary humans who aren't special will keep trying to forbid that power from him, and if he uses this power, they will try to kill him, calling him a dark priest even if he isn't one. It won't be different for him no matter what. He is just lucky to be hanging out with the Order Alliance, but when they find out that he uses the power of monster cores, will they still see him as human? He should take his hand and join forces with someone in the same situation. Then he can become much stronger and enjoy even greater powers. Jin stays silent for a bit, then curses, wondering why a fucking clown like him dares to talk so much. That won't do. He must teach him a lesson. He really did not want to do this, but it seems that he has no choice. His eyes turn white and his hair red, and a bunch of air begins to get sucked in around Jin as he activates his Conqueror's Haki. The dark priest is shocked, as he did not see him carrying any Haki knots. Jin slowly begins to transform again and gets up, telling him that he should at least say something that makes sense. How could a wolf ever serve a dog? Okay, bro. How did he feel after saying that? The dark priest is shocked. Just what the hell is that form? Was he hiding his power all of this time? He beckons his spiders to turn him into ash, but Jin uses his heavenly punishment to completely overwhelm the spiders and rip them from the inside out, while also absorbing their power for his own. The dark priest is shocked to see such a gap in power. Just what kind of monster core did he get such abilities from? Whatever the hell this guy is, staying here is dangerous now. He needs to get out and run. However, almost as if he did not move, Jin appears behind him and grabs one of his spider legs, ripping it from his back before grabbing another and doing the same thing. This makes the dark priest kneel, but even from his kneeling position, he begins crawling away in fear, telling him to wait and talk about this. They both consumed monster cores. If they talked, they might be able to build something more mutually beneficial, right? Jin stays silent for a moment longer, and notes that the only help he can offer him is giving him information about the other dark priests. The dark priest doesn't get it. Why is he doing something like this? He uses the same power as them, does he not? He'll just end up abandoned by humanity, so why is he siding with them? Jin's eyes lock on him, and he notes that this does not answer his question. The dark priest knows he messed up, but before he can say anything more, Jin puts his hand through him and notes that he only got one chance, and that was it. As he begins to consume him from the inside out, the dark priest curses him one last time. Jin slowly begins transforming back as well. He begins to bleed from his nose and mouth, and even from his ears, as it seems that this power has taken a toll on him. With that, he falls to the ground completely exhausted. This is why he did not want to use this ability. Even using it for a moment takes a huge toll on his body. His eyes are closing, and he can feel himself falling asleep, but he also sees that Roland has reached him. It seems that it all worked out after all. As Roland tells the soldiers to bring a portable stretcher, he looks around and wonders just what kind of battle happened here. They all make their way back to Pioneer City, and Jin eventually wakes up in a pretty plush bed. It seems that he survived after all. One of the maids, who was bringing towels and such, sees that he woke up, and she immediately runs away to tell Roland, who immediately gets to Jin, glad to see that he's awake. Jin himself asks what happened, and Roland tells him that he has been unconscious for 3 days. Jin is shocked. Even with his regeneration ability, it seems that the backlash is something he has to consider from now on. He asks if the expedition is over, and Roland tells him that they took care of most of the surrounding rift cores, and the casualties were minimal at best. It's all thanks to him, though. Jin sighs and tells him to just make it up to him. He could not get tired of this feeling of being acknowledged, no matter how many times it happened. Suddenly, though, a serious-looking man comes through the door and greets everyone, noting that he is from the Order Alliance. He would like to take their testimonies regarding this expedition, what kind of opponent they faced, and how Jin fought them, in as much detail as possible. Jin wonders why, and the man tells him that they need to keep records, but the battlefield is extremely chaotic. They simply could not believe that it was a fight between a human and a monster. Jin realizes that he is still under suspicion, and thinks that his happy ending seems to have fizzled away, but this is a problem. What kind of lie should he use now? Suddenly, though, Bo appears inside the room, and notes that he will handle everything himself. The man from the Order Alliance is a little confused. Why would someone as great as him handle such a measly thing? However, Bo will not repeat himself. They should all get out now. Everyone immediately scrambles away, and Bo sits next to Jin, who thanks him. He was worried he might be misunderstood since he had just woken up. Bo tells him not to worry, because no matter what form he may take, he has decided to trust him. Before Jin asks what that means, Bo suddenly pulls out something pretty shocking, a monster core. Bo tells him it came from the body of the dark priest he killed. He secretly took it away for some reason. He had a feeling he might want it, right? After getting a new fade, Jin also gets some new clothes, which Bo says fit him very well. However, Jin thinks that this is beyond just comfortable. The fabric feels like it's one with his body. If he had known it was so good, he would have gotten his clothes tailored from the very beginning, even if it cost a little. Bo tells him not to be satisfied just by trying it on. The true value of those vestments is not just in their comfort. Before Jin can wonder what he's talking about, the old man immediately rushes towards him and strikes, Jin wondering if this old man just struck someone who was in a coma for 3 entire days. However, he is also surprised that he can barely feel a thing. After his strike, Bo explains that it is because it's a relic. A relic is an object imbued with magic that is expensive and quite rare. Its weight is merely that of a beast's hide, but it is a mysterious object that has a powerful defense comparable to plate armor. Jin asks if things like this are expensive, and Bo agrees, noting that it's hard to obtain such things even with a huge amount of gold. Cindy comes around as well, and gives him the reward for this mission, a total of 20,400 gold coins. Jin is surprised. Is it really fine for him to get so much money? Bo tells him that he earned it through the countless monsters he slew. The Rift Core and the Dark Priest were dealt with thanks to him too. His contributions are far from ordinary, so this much is a given. Cindy also notes that she added a little extra from herself too. Jin expected something from a huge job, but this reward is insane. Even so though, why are they treating him so well? Excessive kindness is always suspicious to him after all, even though they know that he consumes monster cores. Bo just laughs, and Cindy can't believe that even when she's treating him well, he still gives her grief like that. Back at the pit, the soldiers stand guard, being made to do so just in case. One of them hears something rustling, but the other tells him it's just the wind, while the first guard adamantly tells him that there really was something. The guard calling bullshit turns around, but at the same time, a chain flies around his neck, and it gets pulled before he gets decapitated completely, with the man who did it laughing maniacally at the blood spraying in the air. The first guard immediately gets in a fighting position, demanding to know who he is, but the man with the ball and chain immediately takes him out too. His strength is incomparable. They all go down into the hole, and the female dark priest is a little saddened to think that he would have been defeated like that by such incompetent fools. Their youngest, Enoch, really was incompetent trash, wasn't he? The one with the ball and chain notes that there were guys stronger than the low-level knight standing guard, it seems. The dark priest with the mask and beads notes that it was somewhat expected of him to lose in the first place, since that was as far as their plan went, even if they did not know it as such. He puts his hand on one of those walls and notes that they should get moving as well. He activates his power, and suddenly an entire part of the wall begins to open into a hidden entrance. They will have to initiate their plan to wipe out these stupid humans once and for all with their secret weapon. Back in the third pioneer city, as the three have dinner, Bo tells Jin that he is in no position to reprimand him, but rather in a position to ask a favor. He should use that formidable power that he has for the sake of humanity. Jin wonders if he would be tortured if anyone found out that he ate monster cores, but to think that they would react by asking him to help them instead. He was worried, but he can only be thankful from now on. He asks if anyone else knows, and Bo denies it. It is just the two of them. Cindy agrees, because others wouldn't react the same way they did, or at least she thinks so. Jin agrees, and asks how exactly he can be of help to them. Bo puts Enoch's monster core down, and tells him that, from what he knows, if he consumes the monster core, he gains the memories of that monster. Of course, that probability is pretty low, but if one consumes the monster core of someone who was originally a human, the probability apparently increases tenfold. This is why he saw the memories of the golden bug sons back then, and they just want him to consume it, and find information about the dark priests, right? They both nod, and Jin looks at the monster core in his hand. Not only did he find someone he can talk to comfortably about this, but he also gets to eat the monster core he missed out on, because he passed out. Since they're leaving him with no choice but to eat it, he will do it for the greater good of humanity. Of course, he begins to consume the monster core, and memories immediately begin to flood his brain. One day, Enoch knelt at the female dark priest's feet, begging to be chosen too, as he did not want to live his life like a shitty failure. He wanted true, overwhelming power. The female dark priest agreed, and handed him a vial of something, telling him to prove it. Jin slowly wakes up from his memory, having passed out again, and tells the two that he has just learned the dark priest's next plan. As they walk through the estate's corridors, Bo asks Jin if he is certain, and he is. This battle was just a smokescreen for those dark priests, while they had a different plan targeting the tradition that has never once been broken. After the expedition ends at the Archbishop's banquet, they're planning to raid it and wipe out the high-ranking officials there without prejudice. Bo thinks that if it is the banquet, their security should be substantial. Is their military strength at that level? Jin notes that he could not see the exact scale. However, there was a man wearing an iron mask, and the woman behind the golden bug son's death was also there. Those two, with their combat power alone, certainly look strong enough. Bo thinks a bit on it, stroking his beard, and Cindy expresses her opinion that this would be too dangerous to handle on their own. They should inform the Order Alliance and cancel the banquet, but Bo tells her that this will not do. If they report this matter to the Order Alliance, they would also have to reveal that Jin is consuming monster cores, and if that were to happen, they might be framed as dark priests too. Moreover, if they cancel the banquet now, they could just execute some other backup plan that would bring them back to square one. Jin asks what is to be done, and Bo notes that they must use the information he has given them. If they know that the rats are coming, they need to set a trap, right? That night, in the banquet hall, Jin walks around in his new armor and a pretty regal-looking cloak. The nobles around look at him, wondering if this is the mercenary from the expedition who played a huge role. He's so young, and he doesn't even look that strong either. Still, they said he turns into a beast once a battle begins, with a few ladies wondering if he's the same in bed. Suddenly though, Roland comes around and immediately puts him in a headlock. He's glad to see their genius, the star of the day, and says he can't believe he is only showing his face now after the battle. He thought he had died, or something in his sleep. Jin knows that this guy was honestly worried about him, and he apologizes. Things were a bit hectic, and it ended up like this. Roland can admit at least that the battle really was no joke, but he also wonders what is going on, as it seems he has a tail following him. The Inquisitor from the Order Alliance. Jin thinks that he's working truly hard at his job, and notes that he said he suspects him because he is too strong. Roland tells him that those who didn't even participate in the expedition are always gloomy. As a fellow member of the Order Alliance, he apologizes. Still, he should not be too upset about it. The fact that he fought for so many people does not change. Jin really appreciates his words, and suddenly the bell rings. As Archbishop Conrad arrives, everyone greets the Archbishop, and he hopes that they are all enjoying the banquet. This gathering is for everyone, so he would be grateful if they could enjoy themselves as much as possible. Bo passes Jin and notes that once the atmosphere of the banquet reaches its peak, that is the signal, so he should get ready now and prepare to face them. Suddenly, though, one guard appears right next to the archbishop and notes that they seem to be having an issue. He doesn't know how to put it, so he puts it bluntly. As they speak, a massive swarm of abominations has appeared at the city's north gate and is likely pounding on the walls if they haven't gotten inside already. Everyone is shocked except Jin, as this was expected. Bo told him in the past that no matter how strong a surprise attack they would launch, fighting against all of the knights stationed at the banquet would be physically impossible, even for them. In that case, there is only one move that they can make. They will cause a disturbance in some district that will force their troops to scatter, which will create an opening for them to attack the banquet hall. The archbishop immediately tells them to do everything in their power to stop them right now. They should pull troops from here if they have to. Jin thought that preventing that would be the most important part, and Bo agreed. But since this is the archbishop's banquet, he does not have the authority to command troops. Cindy told them that she would take care of it because the knights can be swayed by the nobles' safety, so she had already planted something. They just needed to blow the banquet hall up first, and that's what they are doing right now, with the ceiling collapsing right in front of the nobles. Now the objective is for the knights to protect the officials, meaning that they will not be leaving their posts. As the dark priests approach, they see the explosion, with the one with the iron mask noting that this was not part of their plan, but the female dark priest knows what this is. It seems that they figured out they were coming. Jin leaves the banquet hall and takes out his new blade while also taking off his cloak. It is time for him to catch some rats. Thank you for watching. See you next time.